everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight and welcome to the 2021 SGA Executive Debate hosted by the Tower, Catholic University's independent newspaper. My name is Noelle Averis and I am the managing editor. I am joined today by Jessica Fetro, the editor-in-chief of the Tower, and the 2021 SGA vice presidential candidates, Monica Wallace and Jordan Farrell. Tonight, we will be asking candidates a series of questions so that the student body will be able to understand a little more about each candidate and their initiatives.
Each question will have 1.5 minutes to respond to the questions asked. We ask that each candidate please respect one another and do not interrupt while the other candidate is speaking. There will be a rebuttal portion of the debate after the initial round of questions, where candidates will be able to interact and respond to one another. I will signal to each candidate when they have 30 seconds left and when they have 10 seconds left to answer a question. And again, And then with that, we move on to tonight's questions.
All right, so before we get into any specific questions, can you guys just take 15 seconds to introduce yourselves and your involvement on campus? We can start with Monica and then move to Jordan.
Great. First, thank you so much for hosting this debate. I'm so excited to be able to really get into all the changes that our campaign is hoping to make this year. And starting to introduce myself, hi, I'm Monica. I'm a junior economics major with minors in politics and finance. And really a strength of our team and our campaign is our involvements across campus. I've really been serving in these roles since my first year here at Catholic as a Treasury Board Director, and then serving as treasurer in my sophomore year here at Catholic University. I've served in residence life as a resident assistant. I've served as an orientation advisor this current year and then next year. I'm serving as a peer mentor in Take Flight, which is part of the CCE here on campus. That really helps to support first generation college students in their transition into college life. And then also highlighting being a co-president of She's the First, which is a student organization here on campus that works to raise money to send girls to school in low-income countries. And then also as a Cardinal Service Corps leader for the McKenna Center, which helps men experiencing homelessness to be able to transition out of that situation into a better situation.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Farrell, and I am a sociology and politics major, minoring in sustainability. And I've been involved in SGA as a director on the Treasury Board for the past 2 years, where I have really been able to interact with a lot of different organizations on campus. I have also been involved in the executive boards of both College Democrats and Ignite, an organization that I helped bring to the university that is a nonpartisan organization that is dedicated to getting more women involved in politics and to run for public office. I'm also a member of the women's golf team, and I'm running with Alan and Grace on the WeCU team because I love our campus community and I'm proud to be a Cardinal, but also really see changes that need to be made on this campus. And that's a little bit about my involvement and why I'm running.
All right, so this next question is for you guys, for both of you guys as well. And seeing as you guys have just sort of mentioned that you are really busy, and this is a really big responsibility, especially because it operates as president of the Senate, what made you want to run for student body vice president? We can start with Monica again and then move on to Jordan.
Thank you so much for that question. So my inspiration for really wanting to run for student body president has come from my diverse involvements on campus and really being able to interact with students in all those different roles. Really be able to understand what students are looking for in their student leaders and be able to advocate for them well. We have those relationships with administrators and with different student organizations on campus to really make those tangible things happen. And we were so excited and putting forth such a great team. You know, the Hands and Hearts team has such a diverse group of members on our core team. We've been crafting policies to really reflect what students want and what they're looking to see next year. So I'm really hoping that in my role in the Senate to be able to put those policies into fruition and make the changes to make our school and our community an even better place.
All right, thank you also for the question. So I am running particularly for vice president and would be excited to serve in that role because I see the Senate as the greatest opportunity for students to make change on this campus with the right reforms. I believe that I'm the best candidate for this position because I think that you need a thorough understanding of the Senate, but also to bring an outside perspective to make sure that it's becoming a more accessible body to all students. And to do this, we're seeking to reform the Senate in a couple of different ways, allowing any student to bring legislation to the Senate with 1,000 signatures, the 100 signatures, sorry. And then also just working on fostering relationships between the senators of each class and their dean. And as I said, I really think that the Senate is such an important tool for creating change on this campus and advocating for the issues that students need. And that's why I would be particularly excited to work with the senators and work as the student body vice president.
Excellent. Thank you guys for answering that question. This next question is for Jordan, and I think it fits really well into what you were saying. So if you could go more into depth with it. The relationship between SGA and the student body has often lacked both harmony and also unity. What are your plans for engagement with SGA and the student body?
So I think that that really hits at the core of why we're running, why Alan, Grace, and I are running the We See You campaign and kind of what's at the heart of our mission and our goals. We really want to change the way that SGA interacts with the student body. And in my role as vice president, I really see a lot of opportunity for that. As I mentioned, we really want to make the body open to the ideas of students. I know personally, I've worked with senators to bring my ideas to the Senate, which has been really great to see, but I know that that can be really hard for a lot of students that aren't quite as involved to really understand how SGA works. So as I mentioned, we're really trying to focus on allowing students to bring their own resolutions, as well as opening accessibility to senators. In my role as working on Treasury Board, I've held office hours and they're rarely attended. I think I've had one person come. And while I think that's a great opportunity and we will be highlighting that, I think another thing that we're planning on adding is a unanimous form that students can fill out so that they're able to submit their concerns and ideas that they have to their senators and really get a response in a way that's more approachable and accessible to all students.
Thank you so much for that answer. Monica, this one is for you. What is your demographic priority for filling Senate vacancies and why?
Thank you so much for that question. So I would say, first of all, the number one qualification for filling a vacancy is really that you understand the position well, you're qualified, and you have a passion for it. So we're first of all going to be making those connections right off the bat. One of the things that I want to do in order to reform the Senate is to be able to really reach out to organizations on campus to make sure that every student has the information to be able to know when Senate elections are happening, when Treasury Board positions are being open, how you can get better involved in student government as a whole, to be able to make sure that we know who is passionate and who wants to be in those positions. Filling vacancies is so important. We want to make sure that we have a full Senate that can have a full debate to put forth the best policies to be able to reform our Catholic University campus. So being able to make those relationships from the beginning, reaching out to the CCE, reaching out to the cultural organizations on campus, reaching out to all these different people to make sure that they know what student government is doing and how they can be involved so we can really lift them up and their voices in those vacancy positions.
Thank you so much for that answer. So this next question is for you both. A major concern with students and SGA is a perceived lack of productivity. As leader of the Senate and vice president of the student body, how do you plan on working towards efficiency and showing students that the Senate is indeed productive? We can start with Monica again.
Great. So I would say that the number one thing is making sure that senators are able to communicate with their constituents. You know, a lot of things that SGA has done this year has really been able to open up those office hours to have direct one-on-one communication with their constituents and really being able to expand that. You know, one of the great strengths of our team is that we are a team, a 4-person team that's been really formulating this policy and working together to be able to put forth these great ideas. So working with Phil, our secretary, to be able to make sure that students know what the Senate is doing on a very personal level and how it interacts with them. You know, making them more accessible is really a goal so that everyone feels like they're being well represented.
So at the end of the day, students need to feel supported. And that is something that I've really struggled with in my own experience. I've had great experiences at Catholic, but I've also had a lot of frustrating experiences where I felt a lack of support. And we need to be supported by the administration, we need to be supported by the school, and we need to be supported by the students that have stood up to lead us. And that is something that I think is really a crucial part of this. I think we all, working with Grace, making sure that people understand what's going on, that there's opportunities for their voices to be heard at the beginning of Senate meetings, and possibly even opening up a opportunity at the end of each Senate meeting to discuss bills, legislation that was passed and issues with that. This also ties into another part of our campaign, which is really bridging the divide on campus. And that has a lot of different facets, but one part of this is dealing with how SGA is seen by the student body and how efficient and how strongly they advocate for the issues that students are facing.
Thank you guys so much for those answers. This one is again for both of you. What do you see as some of SGA's biggest challenges for next year? We can switch it up and start this time with Jordan and then move on to Monica.
So as I mentioned, one of our big initiatives is bridging the divide on campus. And one way that I really see this is between upper and lower classmen that have been divided because of online classes and not being there in person. And I know as a freshman and a sophomore, I really benefited from relationships with upperclassmen and getting involved with different things on campus. And that's something that needs to be fostered and regrown. And that's something that is really important to our executive, encouraging upperclassmen to get more involved on campus through sporting events or creating mentorship programs within SGA that's really going to foster that great campus community that's so unique to Catholic. And I think that that's a huge problem that we're going to have going forward, along with many of the other ones as we return to campus. But that's something that's, like I said, really important to us and is a unique part of Catholic that we need to continue to put time and energy into growing back.
So to answer that question as well, I would say SGA's biggest challenge is one that every student is really facing. You know, coming back from this pandemic, everyone's felt so disconnected, you know, feeling like you're not a part of the school anymore, and no one should feel that way. And student government has a very important role in this next year to really make everyone feel like they're a part of Catholic University again in a whole community. So there are a number of different ways in which we're trying to do that for next year. So one of them being creating a transfer and commuter student executive initiative, really making sure people who are in those positions feel like they're being represented and their voices have a place. Building those connections is really important and a major priority for our campaign. We want to make sure that everyone has a place. And that also goes down to making these academic reforms. We want to be able to make sure that the people in the community feel like they have a role, just like in the media and communications department. It's very small, but want to make sure that we're able to increase funding. Things like Africana studies, providing support to those specific programs is a major priority.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys, for those answers. And Monica, we can start with you on this question. What do you plan on doing differently than this year's administration?
Great question. So one major thing that I think, I touched on in the last answer was really the lack of the ability to encounter each other. And I think that's really been a challenge in the Senate because you only know someone else through a screen. So I think one big thing in my Senate and my leadership style would be to really create those personalized relationships, creating those opportunities for bonding, making sure you know people as a person, and again, not just through that screen. And so I think That's something that I would be looking to do differently. I think also some things I talked about is making sure that legislation is not restricted by its substance. We want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to put their individual thoughts and ideas forth for debate so we can get the best policies possible to be able to present to the administration.
I think that the past administration has done a lot of great things and has been faced with such a challenging time. And there's many things that we would like to continue that they've done successfully, including their green initiatives and a lot of the other work that they've done. However, we really want to bring up new topics that really haven't been discussed or addressed by SGA. And that includes Title IX reform, that includes our healthcare policy. These are things that are really crucial to our team and being addressed. Coming into the pandemic, we're all under new stresses, and mental health is a huge issue on campus. And this is another thing that we really think is super important and needs to be addressed. And we would really take a different approach to advocating for the issues that students are facing when it comes to standing up to the administration and really uniting student voices for the issues that we all care about and the challenges that we're facing.
Thank you very much to both of you. We are now moving on to the other section of the night, which is the rebuttal section. Basically, the rules are simple. You will have the regular minute and 30-second to respond to the question. But if you're doing the rebuttal portion to the original question as a response, you only have 30 seconds to respond. So starting with Jordan, the first question is, why is your ticket the best choice to lead the Senate?
So I believe that our campaign is the best choice to lead the Senate, as we have an understanding of the workings of the body, but we're also bringing in that new perspective. We understand the issues that students are facing. We've gone through them ourselves, and we really believe that change is needed in SGA, and we can represent that change. And that is why I think that we are the best candidates to lead the Senate. And as I said, we're really bringing up new ideas and issues that have not been addressed by past SGA campaigns.
Monica, if you would like to respond, you can do so now. If you want to address the ticket directly and your ticket directly, that is totally fine.
Great. So I would say that I'm the best candidate to lead the Senate because of my experience both in SGA and outside of SGA. You know, I've served on a previous executive of the student government. I know very deeply and complexly how it works. I know how you need to communicate with administration. I know how to make those student organization relationships and really how it works on a fundamental level. And that's so important to be able to create the changes that we need to see in our university. Also, the different ways that I've been involved in the community really complement that strength in SGA to be able to best serve you.
Thank you, ladies. For the next question, after SGA posted a letter on social media urging non-exempt professors to teach in person this spring, there have been some concerns about transparency within the Senate, as many senators commented on the post that they were not aware of the making of the letter. How will you dedicate yourself to transparency within the Senate as leader of the Senate? Monica, we can start with you, and Jordan, if you would like to rebuttal, you can obviously respond.
That's a great question. One of the main priorities for the Hands and Hearts campaign is to be able to have publicized advocacy updates. So that's something that our president, Abby Anger, saw as a member of this year's executive, and the need to be able to be more transparent with the students and with the senators to be able to understand what is going on, to be able to understand what's going on in those meetings and what's being said to the administration. I think there's also a need for better communication amongst the different branches of SGA. And with my experience as treasurer and serving in the role as student body vice president, I'd really be able to bridge that gap and provide a much needed understanding to both sides to be able to answer questions. You know, you want to be able to go to your treasury board director and they know about Senate. You want to be able to go to your senators and they can tell you about the funding process. So I think all aspects of that will be able to improve communication, which will lead to that necessary transparency.
Communication is key, and another part of one of our Senate reforms is a mandatory update from the executive to each of the initiatives within the Senate. And I think that this would be key in bridging that gap that we're having in communication. I also think that approachability is another big aspect of SGA that we are really trying to change. Me and Alan will be approachable to all the senators and always be open to hear their input and discuss their challenges. And that is, I think, also really necessary if we hope to be transparent to the whole university, that within the organization there is complete transparency.
Well, moving on to the final portion of the night, we will end with concluding statements from each of you. Before we do that, I just want to thank you for being here and being so open and honest with us. We can start with Jordan and then move to Monica.
So I would just like to say in conclusion that I believe in this university and I believe in its mission, and I feel that there is so much potential and so much opportunity for growth. And that is why I'm running to be your vice president. I think that the Senate is the best way that we can affect this change, and I would be excited to lead SGA in an era of change.
Thank you so much for, first of all, having this debate, and thank you, Jordan. I just really want to say that I have been so dedicated and committed to serving this university since the moment I've gotten here. And I've loved encountering and meeting every student that I've, been able to see when I've been here. And I really think that this role in vice president will help me to be able to make the changes to create the university to best support them. The Hands and Hearts team has been working for months to be able to craft these policies to best support every student on campus. All of our different policy areas are directed towards that diversity of voices that we're hoping to represent in our administration next year. We are so excited to be able to work for you tirelessly and to be able to create a better Catholic university.
Okay, well, that concludes our night. Thank you guys so much.